Code 43 here today with another car review for you. This is the most exciting vehicle I've ever had a chance to review. This is a 2021 Ram 1500 TRX, or T-Rex, depending on what you'd like to call it. Let's do a basic walk around of the truck, talk about some design differences from the standard truck, talk about basic specifications, and why this thing is nuts. So, the Ram TRX was born in response to the Ford Raptor, which has been around for a few years. Dodge has previously tried to compete with that with the Ram Rebel, which it had a little off-road prowess, a couple of extra modifications to make it more off-road worthy, but nothing quite like this. So the TRX is, if I recall correctly, somewhere between 6 and 8 inches wider than a standard 1500 truck. And you can see most of that in the front and rear fenders, between this extra venting off of the taillights, and you can see it on the front fenders here by the front doors. Just the massive bulginess of these fenders is insane. All dark trim. And you can actually option beadlock wheels on these as well, but this one doesn't have them, and that's okay. Base price for these, I think, is somewhere around $78,000. Fully loaded up, they're somewhere in the realm of about $92,000 to $94,000, something like that, with every single option. This one doesn't have the rear decorative bar that you could put lights on. It's like a roll bar type thing. I'm happy about that. It looks much better without it. Yeah, so the main reason it's nuts is because it has a Hellcat engine, a 702 horsepower, 650 pound-foot of torque, 6.2 liter supercharged pushrod V8. It's absolutely nuts. The normal Hellcat cars have 717 horsepower now, but there's a lot different induction system in this truck to help with low end, and just in order to get the air to the engine properly, you know, there was a little bit of power loss at the top end, but it doesn't matter. It's still 700 plus horsepower. Sheesh. This truck also has two-tone paint, the bright red and then the black along the bottom, which looks really good. All black painted, matte bumpers, black exhaust tips, which I believe are 5-inch. Absolutely massive. Have to get plenty of sound clips of this thing. This one has blind spot monitoring. There's bugs hanging out all over this thing. Here are some of the off-road bits that make it as awesome as it is. Bilstein shocks, active terrain dynamics by Ram. Pretty trick pieces for sure. Has them in all four corners. Love the hood shape. The extractor vents, which frankly aren't actually functional, but they look cool. The 6.2 liter supercharged badge. This is a functional hood scoop, and it has these 3 lights. Fun fact that I've learned: any vehicle wider than 80 inches is required to have lights 3 across like that, either here or on the roof or in the grill. And also little corner lights to let you know exactly where the edges of the vehicle are. This also has front and rear park sensors, because I'm telling you, it's hard to see out of. That's an understatement. I like the dark gray treatment on the little skid plate up front. Recovery hooks front and rear, obviously. 6 lug wheels. Goodyear Wrangler Territory tires, 325/65 R18s. These are 35-inch tires. Absolutely bonkers. Thank God it doesn't have tow mirrors. But to be honest, I'm pretty sure these can still tow a fair amount. Granted, the suspension's a lot softer than a standard 1500 would be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little lower than a standard 1500. I'll make sure I note the tow capacity here. Government fuel economy ratings for these, I think, are 9 city and 13 or 14 highway. And you'll see inside later on, this has been averaging about 10 since he last filled the tank. 10 miles to the gallon, and you can tell why when I drive it. It's nuts. The only mod he's done so far is this hard tri-fold cover on the bed, which looks great. Nice and good flow with the rest of the bed. It's classy. Rear view camera in the handle. This one has a factory bed liner applied. I believe it's a 5.5 foot bed on this truck, if I recall correctly. Tie downs in the bottom corners. It also has cargo sliders, front to rear. LED bed lighting as well. Nice, easy, lightweight, good sounding tailgate, honestly. Fuel doors, typical Chrysler. Capless fueling, pops in and out easy. Let's check out the cool part. Side of the doors is about what you'd expect for a truck. Build quality is pretty good overall. It's nice to see why the scoop is functional. Hood struts. They call this the Ram airflow. You can see the 2 nostrils that pipe right down into the air intake here. Go through quite the funneling system before going off into the engine. It's a TRX laid out here on top of the engine. In all honesty, you really got to go deep to see the engine itself. The supercharger mounted right on top of the orange engine looks fantastic. This is so freaking cool. Actually, I'm surprised to report that the entire engine is at or behind the center of the front axle. So, not quite front mid-mounted, but very close to being as such. Everything's pretty easy to access. Coolant, which I realize there's purple and pink coolant. One must be separate for the supercharger, I'm guessing. Battery, brake fluid, oil fill is underneath here. Fun little thing to show. I was already checking this out, obviously. The Tyrannosaurus Rex eating a Velociraptor to show just how hard they're going after the Ford F-150 Raptor with this truck. Simple as that. It is a reach. I am almost at my max reaching capacity just to get to that latch. Great looking truck. All LED headlights and fog lights up front too, which I'll show those off in a little bit. Gosh, look at the knobbles on these tires, seriously. They're legit. Let's check out the inside, starting with the back seat, which he has equipped for his dog who rides with him very often. Got these nice WeatherTech door protectors, which completely cover all of the door panel, which is mostly suede with some leather mixed in. And the door storage in the back is massive, and you have cup holders there too. Factory rubber floor matting all the way across the truck. And then you've got pockets in the rear of the seats, as well as some places for like carabiner equipped gear. I'm not going to pull this cover off, but the rear seats, I've sat in one of these more recently. They're pretty comfortable. Good space, 3 across even. You've got speakers in the roof back here, which really help with the sound system too, which is an Alpine unit, which I was surprised to find. It wasn't a Harman Kardon or anything like that, but it sounds like Harman Kardon is the upgrade and Alpine is the standard. Well, the Alpine system doesn't suck, so. Let's go check out the inside. Again, suede on the door panels in this insert, and around here, leather for the armrest, rubber grab handle, hard plastic for the bottom, but feels decent. And again, massive storage with a rubber insert here for holding your drinks. Seats are very comfy in this truck. They're pretty basic power seats, basically tilt and slide and lumbar. Nothing too special there. TRX is stitched into them, which is very nice. There's a big panoramic sunroof in this truck, pretty much goes completely front to back. And the whole front section moves back over top of the rear, opens up pretty large. All your controls and such, your SOS, your lighting. You can open the tailgate from here. All LED interior lighting, and then you have your sunroof open, sunroof tilt, sunshade open and close, and your rear power window up here, as well as a sunglasses holder, home link. Visors are nice and large, pretty typical. And they pop out, and our sliders, and they do their job pretty well. There's a little gap left over here, but certainly not bad. These are first world problems. You got Bluetooth microphones up top here, probably also active noise cancellation for inside, because this is one heck of a rowdy engine. Seat memory as well, power folding mirrors. Lots of good options on here. You could also adjust the pedals front to back here, parking brake, typical headlight and fog light controls. Looks like there's also puddle lights on the bottom of the mirrors, and I also think there's 360 cameras on this truck. Yep, so puddle light here and camera there for 360 view for parking. Makes it pretty easy to park. How massive of a machine this is. Lots of bugs hanging around today because it's in the 70s here in Michigan in October. Again, nice rubber floor mats. Full leather interior with suede inserts on the sides, perforated leather on the top and bottom, suede on top of the glove box, and weirdly, on a spot on top of the dash is suede. Everything else is leather wrapped or plastic wrapped. Let's get up in here. E didn't opt for step bars. They would be helpful, but I'm just not a small person, so it's hard for me to do that jump. It is a ways down. I'm 5'10" and I have long legs, and it's rough. Cup holders are hidden under this carbon fiber look cover. I hear there's also a carbon fiber package, which I'm thinking changes some of the trimmings in here and on the outside of the truck, as well as, like I said, an upgraded audio package as well. A couple other little things this truck doesn't have. I like the leather wrappings on the handles. Makes them feel nice when you grab onto them. They're very sturdy too. I mean, I hauled my weight up here, no problem. Auto-dimming rear view mirror, but it doesn't have a camera rear view mirror, which I'm thinking maybe you can get on the higher level, like technology package truck. Not entirely sure. All right, well, let's turn this on and look at some of the stuff in here. Close the door. So the gauges are very cool. It's all one screen in the center here, but it's divided up with a couple of pieces of plastic to make it look like there's multiple separate screens. You've got your battery voltage down here, oil pressure down here, direction of travel, and I think exterior temperature shows up here normally. Your range on the right, what menu you're on showing on the left, which you can cycle through. Yeah, all the other gauges are pretty complete. Dash vents are pretty typical, nice and large, flow a lot of air. The center screen, this has the 12-inch screen in it, which it's massive, and I believe this is Uconnect 4. So it's the 2018 style system. This is a 21 truck. Here they're getting an update to, I believe, Uconnect 5, which the Grand Cherokee L that I recently reviewed had Uconnect 5. This should be getting a version of that for 22, from what I've understood. The navigation screen is large, easy to read. You got all your various things down here, your media page, your various controls for your seats, and cameras you can look at, easy access to it, your climate, which is off right now because the truck's off. Your whole page of apps, of which any of these you can drag to the bottom and have as quick access. Yeah, So a lot going on. There we go. Otherwise, you have hard buttons on the side for the climate on both sides, your defrosts, your AC recirc, your temperature adjustment is at the top of both sides, your fan speeds, hazard lights up top. You got a nice little storage bin on top of the dash here with a charge port as well. You've got multiple USB charge ports and your auxiliary line in down here. Wireless charge pad right here, and then another space for a phone to hit here. Set it up just like that. It wedges right in there. Real nice. The shifter is just a standard shifter. It's not a rotary shifter in this truck, but I believe it's electronic. You have some storage pockets on the sides here. You have the center console, which is two-part. Top part just has documents in it. Bottom part is a massive storage bin, which has a couple little tricks. You've got some general information and measurements here. And then you've got down below the size of a human next to a Ram TRX, next to a Tyrannosaurus Rex, compared to a Velociraptor. Again, Dodge going after Ford. There's also a PowerPoint inside of that large center area. Other menus up here, I see there's performance for lap times for who knows what. Off-road page. And then, boost pressure. Cool. Didn't notice that before. Your speedometer. I'll have to check that out while we're driving. Red start-stop button here. Shifter paddles on the steering wheel. You can get adaptive cruise on these, but this one doesn't have it. Black Ram logo as well. Your controls for your gauges up here. Phone controls, paddle shifters. And then typical Chrysler audio controls on the back side. Everything has a good weight and feel to it. Not quite as nice as some of the other Chrysler products like the Grand Cherokee. This feels more like a Ram truck from the last few years. Something else is this one has an integrated trailer brake controller built right in. You have auxiliary switches in this one, your parking sensors, traction control, and I'm guessing this is hill descent control for cruise speed downhill. Then there's this whole section. Now granted, this truck only has 215 miles on it, so we can't actually use the launch mode, but with launch mode you can actually change the RPM it launches at, and this is a torque converter 8-speed automatic in this truck, but you're able to change the torque converter. I have no idea how they do it. I'm guessing it changes the angle of the fins inside of it. Somehow they're variable. It's pretty cool tech. I'm sure it's insanely expensive to replace. But it brings up a separate page on the computer, on the screen when you're going to run it. I'll have to try and show it, but I can't use it. You can change your various drive modes here, or you can hit the TRX button, which will bring up, when the truck is on, all of your various settings you can change for that mode. The truck is four-wheel drive most of the time. It auto switches. You can't have it in rear-wheel drive unless you play around with some backdoor settings, which I wouldn't mess with in a new truck like this. Let's fire it up. I'm going to open the door for this so you can try and hear this thing. This is a warm start, not a cold start. It shows current vacuum. It sounds nuts. Many different things to look at here. Yep, 10 miles to the gallon average. It's just how it is. Vented seat, we're gonna have that on, please. Thank you. Here's your surround camera. So this is your top view for while parking. The rear view camera is pretty high def, good color, but not exactly the best resolution. Oh, this doesn't show because this door is open. There we go. Yeah, it makes it pretty easy to park. Other than that, I think I'm going to show you the key quick and then set up the cameras, go for a drive. TRX in red. Unlock, lock, you can drop the tailgate, and you can remote start, and you have your panic alarm. That's pretty much it. And they have a nice little place kind of built for the key right there. All right, on to the fun part. Sport mode. Where'd the fans kick up? Adjust this camera slightly. There we go. Breathing on the throttle. Okay. That supercharger wine makes me happy. Oh, it's beautiful. We're gonna go 2 miles down on the highway. I am so happy I get to drive this thing. And actually, it's a really civil driving truck until you get into it, really. Well behaved. That showed 590 horsepower on the gauge, not even 700. Oh, 607 horsepower. We're still 100 short. God, this thing's crazy. Close that. Oh my God. Alright, well, let's try putting this back in normal mode. Yep, drops down another gear. Cruising beautifully at, well, about 80 miles an hour at 1800 RPM. Okay, so this shows we got about a third of a tank in there right now with 85 miles to empty. So that means you get about 250 miles of tank out of this thing. So I'm guessing it's a 25-gallon tank. Yes, somewhere about there. This thing is crazy. Oh, that's way faster. Hitting the TRX button is way faster than just paging through the arrows, because then you get the whole layout of all the modes available to you right there. I like the performance pages, those are pretty cool. So we have the dyno page up right now, which does show live timing of how the engine is behaving for power and torque. Right now I'm going to pull up the gauges now. This time I'll leave the engine torque on the dash for the camera to get. flat bottom steering wheel. That's something I'm used to in a pickup. Breathing into it, 300 foot-pounds. Just that supercharger whine is so good. I really hope the hood cam's picking that intake noise up nicely, because I really want to dub that in. This thing is so freaking cool. It's expensive, but it's worth every penny. With a warranty. You can buy a 700 horsepower super off-road truck with a friggin' warranty. Alright. I'm gonna give her a little stank here. God! It shows almost 600 foot-pounds on the dash. I wonder if that's to the wheels. Because if it's showing almost 600 horsepower to the wheels, then okay, I believe the 700 crank. I mean, I believe that anyways. Ah! Wow. I am so lucky I get to drive this thing. I really am. There's a timers page here. Could do a 0 to 60 test and show it on the page. I'm gonna do that once I get off the highway here. So even though we're still in sport mode, it's still in top gear, I think. Cruising along at under 2,000 RPM, which is nuts. But its road manners are really good. It doesn't ride rough. It's sprung very softly. The shocks, yeah, you feel a bit from the shocks and from the giant tires on it, but you don't really hear the tires that much considering how large they are. Yeah, the fuel economy is abysmal, but that's not what you buy this for. You buy this thing for fun. And don't get me wrong, it's very useful as a truck, especially with a bedliner. He said he had hauled a cord of wood in this thing before I picked it up to drive it. Gosh, the exhaust noise from the GoPro and the intake noise from the camera in front are going to be amazing. Let's see if we can go find a place to do a proper 0 to 60. Road just a hair here. God, tip in and it's silly. Absolutely silly. See how it does on curves. There's actual curves ahead. It feels well planted because the tires are huge. But I can hear them starting to work. But it corners very nicely. The steering feels not even bad for being electric power assisted. I mean, it would have to be the weight of this truck. I'm amazed. To drive. Alright. Curves that way, straight this way. Well, I got my opportunity, I'm gonna take it. That's insanity. Wow. 4.3 seconds to 60. 0 to 109.9. That's insane. Oh my god. Wow. What is this thing? Brings a smile to my face every time I touch the pedal. I want a Hemi. So, yeah. Last specs, according to the timers page. 60 foot, 1.67 seconds. That's faster than I've ever gone. 8th mile, 7.8. That's faster than I've ever gone. 87 miles an hour in the 8th. Quarter mile, 12.2 at 103. That's faster than I've ever gone in a car I've ever driven in my life. Even my Mercedes bi-turbo was not that fast. Almost 13 seconds for that one, but wow. And 0 to 60, 4.3 seconds, 0 to 109.9. That is absolutely nuts. Jesus. I need to head back. Just putting around town though, it's fine. It's wonderful to drive. Let's see how the turning radius is. Surprisingly not bad considering the size of the truck. Oh man. I want to drive this so much more. But I can't. I gotta get it back to the owner. Actually, I should have just gone the way I was going. Alright, well anyways, I'm gonna sign this video off right here. I got plenty more interesting things coming in the future. Some more stuff from Nomad Auto Imports from Japan. Some more interesting vehicles my friends own. And yeah, can't wait to bring you a lot more content over this winter. Have a good one. See you next time.